you enjoy your time here and find peace in the stories we tell. If you liked the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. Our home consisted of a few earthen rooms with leaning, cracked walls. Whenever it rained, we had to take out every pot, pan, and bowl to catch the leaking drops. Father squatted on the doorstep, a copy of the Analects in his hand, looking up at the sky with a face darker than the bottom of a pot. Failed again, I muttered, carrying out a chipped porcelain bowl filled with thin porridge mixed with wild vegetables. He did not turn his head, his throat moving slightly as he cursed the blind examiner. It was his 5th time failing the exam. Auntie Wang walked past the front courtyard carrying a basket, her voice booming. Lily Zheng, girl, have you heard? The imperial court is about to select ladies for the palace. The yellow notice was pasted right at the district gate. They say background doesn't matter. As long as one has dignified looks and a clean history, anyone can try. The book in Father's hand fell to the ground with a thud. He sprang up, his knees banging against the doorstep without a cry of pain, staring at Auntie Wang. What did you say? The selection, what else? Auntie Wang set her basket down, spittle flying as she spoke. The court issued a decree saying His Majesty wants to find unpolished gems among the people. Whether a farmer's daughter or a scholar's, as long as she is beautiful and steady in character, she can sign up. If chosen as an attendant, the lowest rank, the family is exempt from taxes for 3 years. Father's face turned red then white, his hands twisting the hem of his old, faded robe. That night, I lay on the earthen bed, the sound of my sister Mia talking in her sleep and Father's sighing and tossing filling my ears. The next morning, I went into the district town. The royal notice was pasted on the locust tree in front of the government office. Red background, black letters, the ink still fresh. In the 3rd year of the Kai Cheng era, the Great Dynasty expanded the selection scope nationwide. Any woman aged 16 to 20, beautiful and of clean background, could sign up regardless of origin. Is it true? Auntie Wang had not lied. Onlookers surrounded it 3 layers deep. Some dragged their daughters along, some stood pointing like matchmakers, and there were even a few wealthy young ladies in silk covering their mouths and laughing as if watching a show. I squeezed to the front, and a blind fortunateller nearby spoke up. Young lady, judging by your aura, you are a person of great fortune. The path into the palace might not necessarily be a dead end. I did not answer and turned to leave. Along the way, I met a peddler. He looked at me for a long time before handing me half a piece of candy. Young lady, with your looks, it would be a waste not to try. When I returned home, Father was squatting by the stove using a shard to scrape the burnt layer off the bottom of the pot. Hearing the noise, he jumped up. I saw it, I said, giving half a piece of candy to Mia. So, Father rubbed his hands, his eyes avoiding mine. Do you want to go? He suddenly looked up, his eyes red. Lily, it is Father who has failed you. Say no more. I lowered my head and added a handful of firewood to the stove. Father did not reply. He turned and went out to feed the chickens, his back hunched, desolate and crooked. On the first day of the selection, I realized that this place was even livelier than a market fair. Some girls cried miserably as soon as they arrived, wailing that they missed their parents, clearly not yet weaned. Others held their heads high, wishing they could carve the words, "I want to be Empress," on their foreheads. Then there were those secretly stuffing handkerchiefs into the hands of the matrons, the silver scraps inside pressing so hard I felt pain for the woman's hand just looking at it. I found the most hidden corner to stand in, wearing a pale blue cloth dress, my hair secured only by a wooden pin. It was not that I did not want to dress up, but I truly had no money. My only pink silk dress had been taken by Mia to pawn for 2 bags of rice. It was just as well. The tall poppy gets cut down, so I was safer acting like a quail in the flock. Next person, Lily. Hearing my name, I stood up leisurely and performed the proper etiquette. When I looked up, I immediately met the gaze of the person sitting in the main seat. He was about 20 years old, with a dignified appearance. The noise around us seemed to settle down for a moment. It was not that I intentionally tried to attract attention, but my faded cloth dress amidst a forest of silk and brocade was truly too glaring. But what was most glaring was likely this face of mine. Mother used to say I looked exactly like my grandmother who passed away early. Grandmother was once a famous beauty in town, pity her fate was harsh. Since childhood, I knew I was not ugly. During the famine years, I could still beg for a few buns thanks to this face. At this moment, without rouge or powder, with only a wooden pin in my hair, the delicate features of my eyes and brows were highlighted even more. My skin was white as porcelain soaked in well water, carrying a clear, unpolished purity. Emperor Arthur Lai sat on the main seat, his gaze resting on my face for a moment. Eunuch Dexter Zhang beside him asked in a high voice, "Lady Zhang, what talents do you have?" I thought for a moment, then answered honestly, "I know how to keep books, I can use an abacus, and I know how to pickle vegetables." As soon as the words were spoken, a stifled laugh rang out behind me. Perhaps seeing such an appearance, if not music, chess, calligraphy, or painting, one should at least know some singing and dancing. Why blurt out market trades? Eunuch Dexter's twist twitched, obviously finding it ridiculous. The Emperor, however, unexpectedly spoke up, his eyes sweeping over my brow and stopping at the worn wooden pin, his tone hard to distinguish between joy and anger. "Oh, are the pickles good?" My eyes lit up. This was an opportunity. Whether for looks or talent, I had to grasp it first and calculate later. "Your Majesty, with my pickles, one can eat 2 extra bowls of porridge," I replied seriously. "Last winter, the neighbor's cat even climbed the wall to steal some." This time, even the Emperor's lips curved slightly. He tapped his finger lightly on the armrest, his gaze falling on my face once again, as if looking at an interesting object, admiring the quality yet curious why it was wrapped in such rough cloth. A consort sitting next to him laughed coldly. "Your Majesty, we are selecting ladies, not choosing a chef." The Emperor did not answer her, only looking at me. Quite interesting. Dexter, record it. I knew that what was being recorded was likely not just my name, but also a face that had nothing to do with the word pickles. This harem never lacked beauties, but if a beauty could carry a touch of domestic warmth, she became a rarity. On the way back to the residence, a girl in the same room glanced at me, her voice sour. "Lily, you are truly capable, relying on a face and pickles to stay." I smiled modestly. Just good luck, mere luck. Yet in my heart, I saw it as clearly as a mirror. They only saw this face, but they did not know that in a poor home, sometimes beauty is not a blessing but a curse. Before entering the palace, father always told me to keep my head down, fearing disaster. But now it seemed this body of mine had become a different kind of card in the silent competition of the harem. After all, the Emperor was too used to women relying on their looks to fight for favor. Suddenly, a person appeared who, not bad, but only wanted to rely on pickles to earn rice, which inevitably made him pay a little more attention. Beauty is just a brick to knock on the door, but to live peacefully in this harem, one has never relied solely on a face. Since this brick was currently useful, I would borrow its strength to move forward. The day I was appointed as an attendant, I received a chest of rewards from the Emperor. Silk, satin, jewelry, gold, silver, and even 2 jars of good wine. Little maid Daisy stared with round, unblinking eyes. "My lady, His Majesty really values you." I calmly locked all the jewelry away. I divided half the silk for Daisy. "Valued? I wouldn't say that yet." I picked up a gold hairpin, my voice flat. "Ha probably just finds this quail a bit amusing and wants to keep it for entertainment to relieve boredom." Daisy half understood, nodding along. My residence was a small, remote hall named the Palace of Wind and Flowers. The name sounded elegant, but it was just torn and leaky. The first night I moved in, I woke up 3 times from the cold. The next day, I sent Daisy to the Department of Internal Affairs to get charcoal. The managing eunuch hemmed and hawed, refusing to work, mouthing, "An attendant's rank is low, according to the rules, this is the only allocation." I immediately took the gold hairpin bestowed by the Emperor and placed it on the table. "Eunuch, look, will this exchange for 2 carts of charcoal be enough?" The eunuch's eyes lit up, nodding furiously. "Enough, enough. My lady, just wait." Daisy stood by, eyes wide. "My lady, this item is very precious." "Not precious." I patted her hand gently. "Anything that can be solved with money is not called a problem. However, if I catch a cold and delay my grand plan of eating and sitting around doing nothing, that would truly be a loss." Having been in the palace for half a month, I considered myself to have grasped the rules. Those of low rank had to suffer grievances. Not only did we have to pay respects to the higher-ranking consorts morning and evening, but the Department of Internal Affairs also squeezed us on everything. Other attendants thought of ways to attract the Emperor's attention every day, drawing eyebrows in strange styles today, or changing to bizarre hairstyles tomorrow. I did not. I woke up on time, ate on time, and slept on time. When I had nothing to do, I taught Daisy how to calculate ledgers or studied how to turn leftover ingredients from the royal kitchen into pickles. The Emperor, indeed, never visited. I was in no hurry. What was the rush? The Emperor was like a boss, and the harem women were employees. Those who kept chasing after the boss mostly did not have good endings. It was better to spend days idly, secretly saving strength, until one day Dexter suddenly appeared. Jung, His Majesty is hosting a banquet in the Imperial Garden and summons you to serve wine. At that time I was pickling radishes, my hands still covered in salt. Understood, I will come immediately. I wiped my hands, secretly thinking that the boss had finally remembered this quail. The Imperial Garden was extremely lively. The emperor sat on the main seat, surrounded by several consorts, their laughter chirping like canaries. As soon as I entered, everyone's eyes turned toward me, making me feel a bit embarrassed. Today, I was still wearing that faded blue cloth dress from that day. Dexter led me to an empty seat next to the emperor. Attendant Jung, stay here and serve wine. I had just stood firm when a beauty wearing pink palace attire spoke up. It was Consort Lydia. My, isn't this the sister who knows how to pickle vegetables? Why are you dressed so plainly? Her tone was full of sarcasm, without bothering to hide it. I was just about to reply when the emperor spoke first. She is fine like this, looking at her feels clean. Consort Lydia's face immediately stiffened. I lowered my head and stood still, my eyes obedient, secretly praising myself in my heart. See, the boss spoke up for me. That is the advantage of a person who does not fight. Someone will naturally stand up to take the blow for you. During the banquet, the consorts competed to show off their talents. Consort Sophia played the zither, Consort Lydia danced, Booty Woo composed poetry on the spot, and Consort Gu painted a picture right there, receiving endless praise from everyone. Then it was my turn. The emperor put down his wine cup. Attendant Jung, it is your turn. Do you have anything interesting to show? I thought for a moment, then took a small cloth bundle out of my sleeve. Your Majesty, this concubine has no talents. I only brought some dried radishes I pickled myself. I respectfully invite your Majesty to taste them. The whole banquet was stunned. Consort Lydia laughed out loud. Attendant Jung, this is a royal banquet, not your kitchen. I paid no mind, only offering the dried radishes up to the emperor. He actually reached out, took a piece, put it in his mouth, chewed twice, and nodded. Indeed not bad, very crisp and delicious. Then he took the whole bundle and ordered Dexter to grant Attendant Jung a seat and some refreshments. I sat down calmly, picking up a piece of osmanthus cake to eat, my heart as tranquil as water. I knew very well that my petty tricks were not worth mentioning before those talented and beautiful consorts. But I won by defining my position clearly. They wanted to be the person in the boss's heart, while I only wanted to be a snack for the boss to change his palate. The person in one's heart might one day become boring, but a snack is something one occasionally wants to taste again. After the banquet, Dexter whispered in my ear, "My lady, this move of yours was truly high." I just smiled, it was not high, just luck. The emperor did not truly like my dried radishes, he liked the feeling of not following the script. An emperor uses power with a focus on balance. He needed someone to break the situation in the harem, even if it was just a small attendant. Since the time in the Imperial Garden, I could be considered to have some reputation in the harem. Of course, it was a bad reputation. The one who rose above the attendants relying on Pickles became the title the consorts called me behind my back. I did not mind that reputation, it could not be eaten or worn, but some people did mind. For example, Consort Lydia, it seemed she considered me a thorn in her side. First, the charcoal in my hall was suddenly reduced by half. Then the meals sent from the royal kitchen were sometimes cold, sometimes burnt. Daisy stamped her foot in anger. My lady, it is clearly Consort Lydia playing tricks. Let us go see His Majesty and demand justice. I was calculating the monthly expenses and did not even lift my head. Demand what justice? His Majesty has thousands of tasks. How can he worry about such trivial matters? Are we just going to endure it like this? If we don't endure, what can we do? I put down the abacus. To confront her directly. Do we have the status for that right now? Daisy pouted, saying nothing more. I rubbed her head, speaking softly. Don't worry, I am here. The next day, I went to pay respects to Consort Sophia. In the harem, except for the Empress, she held the highest rank and was also Consort Lydia's #1 rival. Upon entering the hall, I saw Consort Sophia admiring flowers. This concubine pays respects to Consort Sophia. She glanced at me. Rise. I heard that recently you have been very close with Consort Lydia. In my heart, I laughed coldly. This was testing me. Reporting to your ladyship, this concubine is of low rank. How would I dare to be close to Consort Lydia? I replied humbly. It is just that a few days ago in the Imperial Garden, I unintentionally made Consort Lydia unhappy. I fear she holds a grudge. Then I pretended to speak inadvertently. It is strange, recently the charcoal and food in my palace always have issues. The hand holding Consort Sophia's teacup paused slightly. She did not speak. I knew she had listened. Leaving Consort Sophia's palace, I stopped by the royal kitchen. Finding Chef Zhang in charge there, I quietly handed him a piece of silver. Chef Zhang, I want to learn a few dishes from you. Chef Zhang smiled broadly. My lady, you are too polite. Whatever you want to learn, just say. So, every day I went to the royal kitchen for an hour, saying little, only quietly learning to cook. Sure enough, Consort Lydia's sneaky tricks stopped. Daisy was puzzled. My lady, how did you know Consort Sophia would help us? Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, I replied while chopping vegetables. Consort Lydia is arrogant. She has certainly offended more than just me. Consort Sophia simply used my situation to knock on her head as a warning. Then why are you learning to cook? Having many skills doesn't burden the body. I smiled. Who knows, maybe later I can use it to turn the tide. Just a few days later, news spread that the emperor had fallen ill. He could not eat or drink, and the imperial physicians were helpless. Dexter was frantic like an ant on a hot pan, ordering the royal kitchen to make some light dishes. I said I would do it, personally preparing 3 dishes. A bowl of millet porridge cooked with yum, thick and smooth, sprinkled with a few wolfberries, warming the stomach just by looking at it. A plate of cold tossed cucumbers soaked in vinegar and a little sugar, crunchy and just sour enough, and a bowl of steamed eggs, soft as jelly, with a few drops of sesame oil. They were all rustic dishes but were the best things for an empty stomach. Dexter looked at the 3 dishes with some hesitation. My lady, are these dishes perhaps too simple? The emperor is sick, he surely cannot swallow greasy food. These things are light and easy to digest. Who knows, His Majesty might crave exactly this flavor. Dexter thought for a moment then nodded, carrying the tray inside. I stood outside waiting for half an hour, my legs gradually going numb. Daisy asked nervously, My lady, will His Majesty agree to eat? I don't know, I replied. But we must at least try. As soon as I finished speaking, Dexter walked out, a smile on his face. My lady, His Majesty invites you in. I breathed a sigh of relief and followed him inside. The emperor was leaning on the couch, his face pale and his spirit wary. Seeing me, he curled his lips slightly. The porridge you cooked tastes not bad, as long as it suits your Majesty's taste. I stood still respectfully. Sit down. He pointed to the chair beside him. I sat down. The emperor, in his sickness, had lost some of his imposing majesty and gained a touch of mortal breath. He looked at me. I heard that recently you have suffered quite a few grievances. How did he know? Reporting to your Majesty, it is only a small matter. It is not worth mentioning. I bowed my head. In my palace, no one is allowed to bully others at will. Dexter, go investigate who is behind these tricks. Dexter hurriedly accepted the order. It seemed this bowl of porridge was not in vain. Your Majesty, would you like to eat a little more? I gently changed the subject. He nodded slightly. I picked up the spoon to scoop more porridge for him, bringing it to his hand. He did not move, only looking at me intently. I paused for a moment before realizing, he was the emperor. How could he feed himself? He meant for me to feed him. I smiled slightly, then fed him spoon by spoon. Lily, he suddenly spoke up. This concubine is present. You are not like them. Your Majesty flatters me too much. You are not greedy, you do not fight, and you do not snatch. His gaze looked straight at me. In this place, that is truly rare. I smiled. This concubine has no ability to fight, nor the ambition to snatch. Just living peacefully day by day is good enough. He said nothing more, only quietly looked at me deeply. After 3 days of delivering porridge, the emperor's condition improved significantly. He clearly came to my place more often, but mostly he just sat for a while and then left. He never mentioned a promotion, and I never asked. Daisy hoped every day that I would be promoted, but I saw things very clearly. What good was a high rank? Tall trees catch the wind. The current situation was the best. Having the emperor as a backer, no one dared to bully me, and I could leisurely pickle vegetables and live my days. Such a life was truly refreshing. A major event occurred in the palace. The Empress's phoenix seal went missing. This news caused waves throughout the harem. The Empress cried and begged the Emperor to investigate to the end, saying the phoenix seal was a critical object and absolutely could not fall into the hands of outsiders. The Emperor issued a decree to seal the palace gates and ordered a search of the entire palace. The whole palace was shaken, everyone was panicked and uneasy. I did not care much. How could this matter involve me? Unexpectedly, trouble actively sought me out. That day, Dexter led a few guards and suddenly barged into my hall. Attendant Zhang, pardon the offense, but by His Majesty's decree, every place must be searched. Manager Zhang, please go ahead. I replied calmly, my conscience was clear, I felt no guilt. The guards rummaged and turned everything over, throwing my belongings everywhere. Daisy was shaking with fear. Suddenly, a guard pulled a brocade box from under my bed. As soon as it was opened, a shining golden phoenix seal was clearly lying inside. Dexter's face turned pale instantly. Attendant Zhang, what is this? I was also stunned. Why was the phoenix seal under my bed? There was definitely someone intentionally framing me. It was not me. I shouted hurriedly. Manager Zhang, this concubine has never seen the phoenix seal. How could I hide it here? Now that the stolen goods are right in front of you, do you still want to deny it? A shrill voice rang out. I looked up to see Consort Lydia. I did not know when she had arrived, and now she was looking at me with crossed arms and a smug expression. Consort Lydia, you arrived just in time. I regained my composure. The phoenix seal was indeed found in my hall, but that does not mean I hid it. If not you. The Consort Lydia laughed dismissively. In this entire harem, the most suspicious person is you. Where am I suspicious? I asked back. This concubine is just a lowly attendant. What would I steal the phoenix seal for? Could it be that I can make myself empress? Consort Lydia was stunned by my question. Momentarily choked for words, Dexter also frowned, clearly feeling that my words were not unreasonable. Regardless, first take Attendant Zhang to see His Majesty. Dexter immediately gave the order. I was escorted by guards, heading straight for the Emperor's Hall of Mental Cultivation. Along the way, my mind spun continuously. Who was the one wanting to frame me? Consort Lydia. Although she did not like me, her brain should still be functional. Framing someone for stealing the phoenix seal is a capital crime. She had no need to drag herself down with me. Then who was it? Consort Sophia was not right. She was currently favored. There was no reason to do this. The Empress staging it herself was even less likely. With the phoenix seal lost, the person most worried was her. Thinking back and forth, I still could not guess any clues. Never mind, if I cannot figure it out, I will not think about it anymore. Arriving at the Hall of Mental Cultivation, I knelt immediately before the Emperor. Your Majesty, this concubine did not steal the phoenix seal. I looked up straight into his eyes. But the phoenix seal was found in this concubine's palace. It is hard to shirk responsibility. I only beg your Majesty to see clearly. The Emperor looked at me, his expression unfathomable, hard to tell if he was happy or angry. Dexter. He opened his mouth. What do you think? Dexter hesitated for a moment. Reporting to your Majesty. This servant feels that Attendant Zhang does not look like someone who would dare to do such a thing. Paimf. Knowing the face is not knowing the heart. Consort Lydia had also arrived and immediately interjected. Your Majesty, the tangible evidence is clear. The Emperor did not answer her, only looking at me. Lily, do you have any evidence to prove your innocence? I took a deep breath. Your Majesty, this concubine has no evidence, but I can be sure that the phoenix seal was only placed under the bed today. Oh, on what basis do you say that? Because yesterday I just cleaned up, and there was nothing under the bed. Furthermore, there is an old mouse hole under the bed that I just blocked yesterday. If the phoenix seal had been placed there before, it would surely have been gnawed on by mice. The Emperor gave a faint smile that was hard to detect. Dexter, go check. Not long after, Dexter returned, his face even more unsightly. Reporting to your Majesty, Attendant Zhang spoke the truth. There is indeed a newly blocked mouse hole under the bed, and the phoenix seal has no traces of being bitten. Consort Lydia's face suddenly changed. The Emperor, with his deep skimming mind, immediately noticed the anomaly, his gaze boring straight into her. Consort Lydia, you seem to really hope that Attendant Zhang is the mastermind. Consort Lydia flopped down to her knees. Your Majesty, this concubine only saw the clear evidence so. Really? The Emperor laughed coldly. Dexter, go investigate if anyone from Consort Lydia's palace went near the Palace of Wind and Flowers today. The truth was quickly revealed. It was little Sam, a young eunuch by Consort Lydia's side, taking advantage of the time Daisy and I went to the royal kitchen. He secretly hid the phoenix seal under my bed. As for how the phoenix seal got into Consort Lydia's hands, she could not say a word. In the end, the Emperor used the excuse of the crime of oversight to punish her with 3 months of confinement, and I was completely cleared of the injustice. What a stupid creature, I had still overestimated her. It turned out she really had no brains. When I was leaving the hall of mental cultivation, the emperor called me back. Lily, this concubine is present. You are very smart. Your Majesty flatters me too much. This concubine was just lucky. I smiled. He looked at me, then suddenly said, I will promote you to imperial consort. I shook my head. Your Majesty, I feel that being an attendant is just right. He did not expect me to refuse, so he asked, why? Because a big tree easily catches the wind. This concubine only wishes to live peaceful days, that is enough. He said nothing more. I knew that this time, I had played the right hand again. In this harem, sometimes not fighting is the greatest way to fight. After the Phoenix Seal incident, the people in the harem became polite when they met me. Before it was sarcasm, now it was wariness. Even consort Sophia became much more polite when she met me. I continued as before, eating and drinking leisurely, sometimes pickling a few vegetables to relieve boredom. The emperor often came to my place to talk about court affairs. I let it go in one ear and out the other, never offering an opinion. The emperor's mind is the hardest thing in the world to fathom. Speaking too much leads to mistakes. One day, he came to drink porridge. While eating, he suddenly opened his mouth. Attendant Jung, I plan to establish the crown prince. My hand trembled slightly. Establishing a crown prince. This was a major state affair. There were quite a few consorts in the harem with princes. I feared this would raise another storm. Your Majesty is wise, I replied dryly. He glanced at me, seeming amused. Do you have nothing you want to say? This concubine's knowledge is shallow. I dare not discuss court matters. He shook his head and laughed softly. You. A few days later, the emperor issued an edict establishing Prince Leo as the crown prince. Prince Leo's birth mother was a small beauty whom few noticed and had long fallen out of favor. This decision astonished the entire harem. Consort Sophia had a prince, and consort Lydia also had one. They were both older than Prince Leo. How could they be resigned? Sure enough, within a few days, enough gossip spread through the palace. They said Prince Leo's body was weak and he could not shoulder the great undertaking, that his birth mother's status was lowly and unworthy of being the crown prince's mother, and there were even vicious words saying Prince Leo was not the emperor's seed. The emperor was furious, dragging out a few servants who spread rumors and beheading them as a warning to the public, yet he still could not stop the world's tongues. The beauty who was Prince Leo's birth mother cried until her eyes were red every day. I looked at the whole situation, only sighing in my heart. Where is there familial affection in the imperial family? That day, the emperor came again, his face gloomy. Have you heard those rumors outside? This concubine has heard a little? I scooped a bowl of soup and offered it. Your Majesty, do not be angry. Harming your dragon body is not worth it. He drank the soup. I thought for a moment, then spoke cautiously. Your Majesty, this concubine has a sentence. I do not know if I should say it or not. Say it. Rumors are like weeds. The more you pull them, the stronger they grow. It is better to find something else to divert everyone's attention. Oh, what idea do you have? This concubine dares not call it an idea. I just feel that the palace has been too dull recently. Why not hold a flower viewing banquet to let everyone have a lively occasion? He nodded. Good idea. I leave it to you to organize. I froze, silently scolding myself. If I had known, I would not have opened my mouth to invite trouble. Now I had to step up and organize a flower viewing banquet. Your Majesty, this concubine is only an attendant. I earnestly declined. Then I will now appoint you as consort. He cut me off. Is that enough qualification? I sighed. Well, what comes must come. After being promoted to consort, my residence also changed. I moved from the remote Palace of Wind and Flowers to the spacious and bright Palace of Brocade Creek. Daisy was so happy she could not close her mouth. My lady, your suffering has finally turned to sweetness. I looked around the courtyard full of maids and eunuchs, feeling a bit uneasy in my heart. The higher the rank, the heavier the responsibility, and the greater the danger. The flower viewing banquet was organized very successfully. Everyone ate and drank happily, chatting and laughing, which indeed soothed the heavy atmosphere in the palace. The rumors surely diminished a lot. The emperor looked at me, his eyes holding a few parts of admiration. You are truly capable. It is all thanks to your Majesty's skillful guidance, I replied humbly. He suddenly leaned in close, whispering, Lily, be my empress, will you? I was startled, almost dropping the wine cup in my hand. Empress, that was a hot potato. The current empress, though not favored, had not committed any errors. Deposing an empress was no small matter. Moreover, being empress meant standing at the head of the 6 palaces, becoming a target for 10,000 arrows. I did not want to invite that trouble. Your Majesty, this concubine feels that the present is already very good, I said hurriedly. Her Majesty the Empress is virtuous. This concubine dares not have delusions. His gaze was complex. So, you do not want to stand with me? It is not that I do not want to, I said seriously. It is just that this concubine knows clearly how much I weigh. The position of Empress is too heavy, I cannot carry it. All right, I will not force you. I breathed a sigh of relief. Once again, I had refused the boss's promotion proposal. I just did not know if he would hold a grudge. In the 2nd month after I was promoted to consort, I sent a trusted little eunuch to smuggle a letter out. The letter was for father, not saying much, just telling him not to continue taking exams and to find a stable job. Accompanying the letter was a heavy wooden box. A month later, father replied, saying the old courtyard had repaired, the walls rebuilt, and 2 new tiled rooms added. He opened a small bookstore in the town, selling primers for children learning to read. My lady, you haven't seen it. Your old master's back is straight when he meets this servant, endlessly saying thanks to my lady. The little eunuch said with a smile. I was not very moved. This was originally one of the reasons I entered the palace. A few more days later, Daisy brought items from the Department of Internal Affairs, speaking cheerfully. My lady, this servant heard from outsiders that your sister is wearing a pink silk dress now, looking rosy and fair, and she has gained quite a bit of weight. My hand paused in the middle of picking up a pastry. That pink silk dress was exactly what Mia had taken to pawn for rice back then. I never blamed her. Poor children must worry about food first. I instructed. My lady, you are truly good to your family, Daisy said. It is not being good, it is what should be done, I replied. If I make something of myself in the palace but my home is still tattered and drafty, then it cannot be called truly standing firm. But we also cannot be overly ostentatious. Tall trees catch the wind, not just in the palace but outside as well. Father sent another letter, saying the bookstore was doing stable business, enough for food and clothing, telling me to live peacefully in the palace and not worry about nonsense. He also said Mia was studying with a teacher in the school, knew quite a few characters, and her temperament had gradually calmed down. I remembered the day father pushed me onto the selection cart, his eyes avoiding mine, with the sentence, "Just earning a meal is enough." Now, not only was I earning rice, but I could also let my family eat there and dress warmly. After the flower viewing banquet, the harem was much quieter. Prince Leo's position as crown prince was considered secure. Consort Sophia and consort Lydia, though unwilling, dared not play any more tricks. I was still my same self, eating and drinking leisurely, occasionally helping the emperor handle some trivial matters in the palace. He did not mention appointing an empress again. There was one more thing. Although the relationship between the emperor and me was considered not bad, he had never touched me. I felt relieved. That was very good. Without physical attachment, there were not many entanglements. In the future, if he got tired of me, I could also retreat with my whole body. Daisy kept saying I was stupid. My lady, you are currently favored. If you don't take the chance to give birth to a prince, who will you rely on in the future? I knocked on her head. Give birth to a prince for what? To fight for the crown prince position and end up dying miserably. Daisy fell silent, saying nothing more. She did not understand this harem. Children were never capital, but death warrants. Especially when the crown prince was already decided. That day, I was sitting in the sun in the courtyard, when Dexter ran over in a panic. Consort Jung, it's bad. His Majesty has fainted. I stood up hurriedly. How did that happen? Where are the imperial physicians? The physicians are treating him, but the situation is not optimistic. I followed Dexter, running straight to the Hall of Mental Cultivation. The hall was in extreme chaos. The imperial physicians surrounded the dragon bed, everyone's face wrinkled with worry. The empress and other consorts had also arrived, crying sorrowfully. I squeezed inside, seeing the emperor lying on the bed, his face pale, without a trace of vitality. My heart tightened. Move aside, I shouted loudly. Everyone was stunned, turning to look at me. His Majesty has suffered an attack on the heart from anger, added to overwork. I spoke while moving closer to the dragon bed. With all of you surrounding him like this, the air cannot circulate. How can he get better? The empress glared at me. What do you know? This concubine does not understand medical theory, but I know people in a coma need fresh air. Empress, if you truly want His Majesty to be safe, please let everyone go out first. The Empress choked, unable to speak. Dexter hurriedly mediated. Your Majesty, Consort Jung's words also make sense. Let us go out first. Everyone retreated one by one, and the hall instantly became much quieter. I looked at the Emperor, remembering the last time he fell ill, also unable to eat. I turned and went to the royal kitchen, cooking a bowl of millet porridge like last time, adding some yam, stewing it until very soft. When I returned, the physician had just finished taking his pulse. How is it? The physician shook his head and sighed. His Majesty is overworked. His body is severely damaged. Whether he can pull through depends on his will. I placed the porridge bowl by the bed, wanting to feed him, but he was unconscious and could not swallow. I was extremely anxious. I could only use a small spoon to slowly feed him drop by drop. Feeding a mouthful, stopping for a while, then feeding more. Just like that, it took a whole hour to get only half a bowl in. My arm was sore and falling apart. Dexter stood by, his eyes red. Consort Jung, you rest a bit. Let this servant do it. It's fine. I shook my head. That night, I did not return to the palace of Brochet Creek but stayed in the hall of mental cultivation to watch over him. The Emperor still had not woken up. The Empress and consorts visited a few times, saw the situation was stable, and retreated. I sat by his side without leaving. By the time the sky was turning bright, he finally moved his finger slightly. My heart rejoiced, and I hurriedly leaned in. Your Majesty, are you awake? He slowly opened his eyes. Seeing it was me, he asked in a low voice, why are you here? This concubine is watching over you. I softened my voice. How do you feel? Do you want to drink some porridge? He nodded slightly. This time he could eat by himself. He drank half a bowl, and his color improved a bit. Yes. He smiled weakly. It is still you who treats me best. I felt a bit awkward in my heart. Your Majesty is the Son of Heaven. It is this concubine's duty to serve you. He did not answer, only pulled my hand and held it tightly. His hand was very cold. I let him hold it and did not pull back. Breaking the rules once in a while was fine. After the Emperor woke up, his body gradually improved, but he seemed to turn into a different person. He started calling me to the hall of mental cultivation to serve, telling me stories about his childhood, how strict his imperial father was, and how he lived back then. He considered me someone he could trust. That made my heart sink. Trust is too heavy a thing. I only wanted to earn a living in the palace, not talk about feelings with the Emperor. That day he pulled me to play chess. In the middle of the game, he suddenly said, Lily, wait until I finish rectifying the court. I will depose the Empress and establish you as Empress. The chess piece in my hand fell onto the board with a clatter. Again. Your Majesty, this concubine really does not want to be Empress, I said seriously. Why? Think about it, Your Majesty. The Crown Prince is still young, and the court is in a tangle of hundreds of threads. If you depose the Empress to establish me now, what will outsiders think? They will say Your Majesty is drowning in female charms and ignoring the greater picture. At that time, not only will this concubine be criticized, but the Crown Prince's position will also be hard to maintain. Your Majesty, I continued, this concubine feels that the present is more than enough. I have someone to protect me. No one dares to bully me, and my days are stable. It is Your Majesty thinking I suffer grievances, but there are no grievances at all. This concubine is willing and happy. I was not lying. I truly felt that now was very good. Having the Emperor as a backer, with a rank neither high nor low, I could live peacefully without being pushed to the crest of the waves. That was exactly the life I wanted. The Emperor did not bring up the matter of establishing an Empress again. That day he kept me there to play chess and asked me, Lily, do you know that in our great dynasty, choosing an Empress has never prioritized noble families or meritorious officials? My hand holding the chess piece paused. I looked up at him. This concubine has heard a little. I answered honestly. I heard palace servants say the first Empress came from a humble background but overcame the most difficult years with the first Emperor. He placed a piece on the board, his voice deep and soft. Then do you know what kind of Empress I want? I shook my head. He suddenly smiled, his finger pointing to a pawn of mine on the board. The piece had not moved from start to finish, yet it had blocked several of his lines of attack. When you first entered the palace and said you knew how to pickle vegetables, I had seen too much music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Hearing that, I felt it was novel. But later I understood you were not pretending to be different, but you sincerely believed that those hands could help you stand firm. You used a golden hairpin to exchange for charcoal. Others said it was a waste of heavenly gifts. I, however, saw that you saw everything clearly. In your eyes, A warm bed is worth more than empty fame, that is not being greedy. When the phoenix seal was used to frame you, you did not beg, you did not wail, you only said one sentence asking me to see clearly. You did not yield even half a part of your integrity, that is not being cowardly. When I fell ill, you sat by my side feeding me porridge, spoon by spoon for a whole hour, not resting even when your hand trembled with fatigue. At that moment, I suddenly thought, there are 10,000 people in this palace, everyone hopes I am healthy, but only you were truly afraid I would die of hunger. They all want to be empress? Some for the power of the phoenix seal, some for the glory of their clan. But the empress I want is not a chess piece to control the court, nor a vase to maintain the face of the dragon body. That person must be someone who, within this magnificent palace city, can make me laugh enough to cast aside my dragon robes. Someone who can tell me the porridge is burnt without fear. Someone who sees the dragon chair and does not tremble, who sees the dragon face and dares to say, "Your Majesty is terrible at chess." Someone who, even knowing I am the son of heaven, still dares to treat me like a normal human being. He looked up at me. In this palace, only you, Lily, dare to live like that. You do not rely on anyone, you do not calculate against anyone. Even treating me well carries a quality of sincerity, as if casually scooping an extra bowl of rice for the emperor. This position of empress, giving it to anyone else feels like a disservice to the position, only giving it to you is appropriate. Not because you have a prominent family, nor because you have deep schemes and broad wisdom, but because you are you. You are the only person in this harem who dares to stand before me and calmly be yourself. My hand holding the chess piece grew slightly hot. I suddenly understood why he had mentioned establishing an empress so many times. For an emperor too used to false faces, I, a person who did not follow common logic and did not seek power, became the only stability he wanted to keep by his side. From that day on, tributes from everywhere were sent to the palace of Brocade Creek. Everyone in the harem thought I was about to become empress, but I understood clearly I would not do that. One day, Prince Leo suddenly fell seriously ill, his high fever not retreating. The crown prince falling ill was a major event in the palace. The imperial physicians used medicine endlessly but to no effect. The emperor was so worried he paced around, his face ashen. Your Majesty, when I was small, I also had a high fever. My mother often used mugwort leaves to boil water for a bath, and the fever went down very quickly. Why not try it? The emperor was like a drowning man catching a straw. Is it truly useful? Quickly, go prepare it. I ordered the physicians to gather mugwort leaves, and I personally boiled the bathwater. Prince Leo's birth mother stood by watching. Consort Jung, thank you. For His Highness the Crown Prince, I should do this. After Prince Leo soaked in the mugwort water and took medicine, the fever truly receded the next day. The emperor, seeing his son healthy again, was overjoyed. Lily, you are truly my lucky star. I just smiled. I only did what was within my ability. That night, the emperor stayed at the palace of Brocade Creek. It was the first time he slept over. Drinking a little wine, he spoke more. Lily, do you know? When I was young, I always felt the imperial father did not like me. He was gentle with my younger brothers, only strict with me. Your Majesty was the crown prince. The former emperor was strict because he wanted you to achieve great things. Perhaps, but back then I truly envied my brothers. Your Majesty, in the future if you feel tired, come here to me. I will cook the porridge you like best. Lily, overcome with emotion, he lowered his head and kissed me. The kiss was very light, very gentle. I did not push him away. Occasionally letting go once was fine. After Prince Leo recovered completely, the rewards bestowed upon me became more and more numerous. Daisy asked, "My lady, are you very happy right now?" I nodded slightly. Yes, very happy. Right, very happy. Having food to eat, clothes to wear, and no one daring to bully me. Wasn't that the goal I set when I first entered the palace? One day, the emperor brought a warm box. Opening it, there was a magnificent but not ostentatious phoenix hairpin. This is for you. Just a normal phoenix hairpin. I took the hairpin and placed it in my hair. Is it beautiful? Beautiful. He smiled. Lily, do you know? I once thought being emperor meant having everything, but now I understand that simplicity is the hardest thing to obtain. I leaned against his chest. Then in the future, Your Majesty must remember to come to my side often. I, Lily, had finally found a place where I belonged in this palace court. How truly good it was. True power does not always roar. Often, it resides in the quiet confidence of being oneself. Lily's story teaches us that in a world obsessed with status and superficial glory, authenticity is the ultimate sanctuary. While others wore masks to claw their way to the top, she found strength in simplicity, proving that a genuine heart and a warm bowl of porridge hold more value than a cold, heavy crown. Happiness is not found in owning the world, but in knowing your limits and cherishing the peace within your own small corner. Sometimes, the greatest victory is simply staying true. The story ends here for now. If it touched your heart or left you thinking, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and share Raccoon Tale to help more stories come to life. See you in the next tale.